Good afternoon, everyone. So today we are going to discuss the most important topic of 12th class. So that is what coordination compounds. So from this chapter, every year, minimum 3 to 4 questions we can expect from this coordination compounds. D and F block elements. After that, coordination compounds. Both together, minimum 4 to 6, or 5 to 6 questions. D and F and coordination. From these two chapters alone, we can expect. So that is why this is one of the most important topic. So in this coordination compounds, so what are the concepts we are going to discuss? First we will discuss what is the difference between double salts and complex salts. We should know what are complex salts and what is the difference between the normal double salts and complex salts. Thereafter, terms. So what is oxidation number? What is ligand? What is coordination number? What is coordination sphere? So after we finish that, all terms we are going to use in coordination compounds. Next week we will discuss theories of coordination compounds. In this theories, Werner's theory, Sedgwick theory, valency bond theory, and thereafter crystal field theory. 4 theories came forward to explain the geometry and structure of the complex compounds. And after the theories, color of the complexes, why the complex compounds are colored, and after that a small discussion about the metal carbonyls, and after the metal carbonyls, stability of the complex compounds, and what are the factors which are stabilizing the complex compounds. So these are the concepts we are going to discuss in this chapter, coordination compounds. So let us start. The first one, difference between the double salt versus complex salt. What are the main differences between double salts and complex salts? See, double salts, suppose here I am giving a few examples. Double salts means generally it's a mixture of the combination of 2 or more than 2 salts. For example, you take cornellite, KCl, MgCl2. Okay, more salt you take, ferrous sulfate to ammonium sulfate, having 6 water molecule. So like this, it's the combination of 2 salts with some water molecules anyhow. So double salts exist in solid state only. Usually double salts exist in only solid state, whereas complex salts they can exist in both solids and also in solutions form also they can exist. Complex salts. Next one, in double salts only ionic bonds are present. Only ionic bonds are present. Whereas in complex salts both ionic and as well as dative bonds. Dative bonds also we call it as coordinate covalent bonds. Both are present. Both ionic and as well as dative bonds are present. Especially between the central metal atom and the ligand, dative bond is present. Between the counter ion and the complex ion, there was an ionic bond is present. Next one. Usually double salts, after we dissolve it in the solution, they completely lose their identity. Lost their identity. For example, you just take a cornellite salt. Cornellite salt is solid state before the dissolution. But after we dissolve it in it, completely KCl will split into K plus and Cl minus, and MgCl2 will split into Mg plus 2 into 2Cl minus. So like that completely it is losing their identity. But in the case of complex salts, if you dissolve the complex salts in the solution, what happens? It will not lost their complete identity. For example, you take potassium hexacyanoferrate K4FeCN6. K4FeCN6 on dissolution in the water it will give 4 K plus ions. The complex ion remains chain. Means it is not completely losing their identity. Okay, that is the main difference. So here, after dissolution, these salts lost their identity. Whereas complex salts they do not lost their identity completely. So we cannot say that they are not losing their identity. It's losing some identity, but it's not completely losing their identity. Next one, when you compare the properties of the double salts with their compounds. Okay, what is that? Usually the double salts will shows almost the same properties of their compounds. For example, you take KCl properties, MgCl2 properties, and the double salt of cornellite. Cornellite is showing the similarity with the properties of their original compounds. But if you take a complex salt, for example, you take AgCl. To this AgCl, if you send ammonia gas, we are getting tetraamino silver salt. Okay, AgCl properties are different, ammonia properties are different, but the complex that was made by the mixing of AgCl and ammonia, that is a tetraamino silver, properties are completely different. That means the properties of complex salts are completely different from their original compounds. But in case of double salts, the properties are same as like. Okay, so write that. So they shows identical properties as like their compounds. Whereas in case of complex salts, these properties are completely different from their original compounds. So this is about the differences between the double salt and complex salts. Here you write the examples. Cornellite, that is KCl, MgCl2 dot having some water molecule 6H2O, and a more salt FeSO4, NH4 twice, having 6 water molecules. Okay, and okay, so this is what examples for double salts. Complex salts, K4 FeCN6, K3 FeCN6, like this we can write so many complexes thereafter. So this is about the differences. Next, move on the terms that we are going to use. Terms. In this, let us start oxidation number first. Oxidation number of the central metal atom. What is the oxidation number of the central metal atom? For example, I am taking a complex that is what K4 FeCN6, potassium hexacyanoferrate. See, if you calculate the oxidation number, potassium belongs to first A group element, cyanide is a monovalent. Okay, monovalent. So if you use that, 4 into plus 1 plus x plus 6 into minus 1 is equal to 0. So x is equal to how much we will get? Plus 2 we will get. So oxidation number is nothing but the charge over the central metal atom, the charge left over the central metal atom when you remove all the ligands and all the counter ions along with their electrons. See here, surrounding the central metal atom 6 ligands and 4 counter ions are there. If you remove the 4 counter ions and the 6 ligands along with their electrons, the remaining charge left over the central metal atom, that charge we call it as what? Oxidation number. So oxidation number is nothing but the charge left over the central metal atom, after removal of ligands, after removal of atoms, ions and molecules which surrounds it, along with their electrons. Okay, that is called oxidation number. Usually oxidation number, when you are writing the name of the complex name, IUPAC name, so So generally we represent with a Roman letter within the parenthesis. Okay, so that is about the oxidation number. Next, move on to the next one. That is what? Coordination number. Coordination number. What is the coordination number? Coordination number is nothing but simply we represent with the Cn. Coordination number. Coordination number is nothing but the number of ligands, a number of atoms, ions, or molecules which surrounds the central metal atom within the coordination sphere. Okay, and that number we call it as what? Coordination number. So coordination number is nothing but the number of ligands which surrounds the central metal atom, number of ligands surrounding the central metal atom within the coordination sphere. That number we call it as coordination number. See once again, number of ligands in coordination sphere. What is a coordination sphere? I will tell you later. So first you just remember coordination. What is the advantage, application, use of coordination number? By using this coordination number, you can determine the geometry of the complexes. How? See, if the coordination number is 2 is not possible generally. Coordination number is 4. The coordination number 4 is 2 sometimes possible. Why don't we get? Okay, coordination number 2, the geometry usually will be linear. 3, trigonal planar. 4, tetrahedral or else square planar. 5, trigonal bipyramidal. 6, octahedral. 7, so 7 is what? Pentagonal bipyramidal. So by using this coordination numbers, we can determine what? We can somewhat determine geometry of the complexes. That is our advantage. Next, move on. Coordination sphere. So generally, when you are writing the coordination sphere, we see, suppose here, this is a square bracket. So the species which is representing within the square bracket, so this is what we call it as what? Coordination sphere. So if you see the skeleton of the coordination complex, so this is square bracket. Okay, the species which is present within the square bracket we call it as what? Coordination sphere. Left side of the coordination sphere we call it as what? Cationic sphere. Cationic sphere, where cations are present. Suppose if there was any cations are there, that is present in the cationic sphere. Right side of the coordination sphere, that is what? Anionic sphere. If there was any anions, okay. And one more thing, the cationic sphere, the cations which are present in the cationic sphere and anions that are present in the anionic sphere simply called counter ions. Counter ions to stabilize this charge over the complex ion. Okay, either positive ions or negative ions are present, and that ions we call it as what? Counter ions. For example, you see this one, K4FeCN6. This is a coordination sphere, and out left side K4 is there. That means 4 K plus ions are there, 4 cations are there. So 4 K plus, so the charge over the coordination sphere should be -4, like that. So coordination sphere is nothing but the central metal atom. And surrounding the central metal atom, that is whatever the species which are present, that is what simply called ligands. So the ligands which are surrounding the central metal atom, which are present within the square bracket, that is called coordination sphere. And within that coordination sphere, the number of metal atoms may be 1, may be same, or else 1 or many metal atoms also may be present. Suppose if the only one metal atom is there, then that is what? Mononuclear complexes, mononuclear spheres. Suppose if more than one are there, then that is what? Polynuclear complexes, mono and poly again. And this mononuclear complexes again based upon the charge. For example, you take this one, FeCN6 -4, okay, or else FeCO and 26, right? FeCO5, and one more thing, FeCN6, not actually, FeH2O6 SO4. Okay, now tell me, what is the is this a mononuclear complexes or polynuclear complexes, let us see. Here how many metal atoms are there? 1. Here also 1. Here also 1. So all these are mononuclear species, mononuclear complexes. But look at the charge of this one. So this is a coordination schema, the species which are present in this within the square bracket. In this square bracket, left side cations are not there, but right side anion is there. SO4 -2. If anion is having -2 charge, then what is the charge over the coordination sphere? +2. So what is the charge over them? +2. That means this is what? Cationic sphere. The complex is having positive charge, so this is what? Cationic sphere. Next, come to here. K4FeCN6. Here cations are there. How many are there? 4 are there. To neutralize them, what is the charge over the complex? -4. So this is what? Anionic sphere. And what is the charge over here? No charge. So neutral sphere. So mononuclear spheres, coordination spheres are again of 3 types. So what are those? Neutral sphere, next cationic sphere, and anionic sphere. So clear? So then we move to the next term, that is what? So the coordination sphere also we call it as a coordination entity also. Okay. Next one, ligands. What are ligands? Ligands are nothing but the species which is donating the pair of electrons to the central metal atom. So that species we call it as a ligands. And the part from where it is donating the electron pair, that is what we call it as the donating site. So few ligands may have one donating site or many donating sites, and the number of donating sites that ligand have, that number we call it as a denticity. So denticity is nothing but the total how many parts from where the ligand can donate. Okay, that is what we call it as a denticity. So based upon the denticity, I'm going to divide these ligands into following types. What are those? The first one is monodentate ligands. Monodentate ligands. Tell me how many donating sites are there? Only one donating site. So it has only one donating site. Again, based upon the charge over that ligand, again the monodentate ligands I am dividing into neutral monodentate ligand and univalent monodentate ligands. Univalent monodentate ligands and neutral monodentate ligands. Neutral monodentate ligands means they don't have any charge, but it can donate electrons from one donating site. Examples, see the examples for them. Neutral means H2O and NH3 and CO and PH3 and PF3 and PR3 and PPH3, etc. These all are what? Neutral charge. They won't have any charge, but still they have one donating site. Okay, that called neutral monodentate. Next, univalent. Univalent means it has some charge. What is the charge? Definitely the ligand should have negative charge. Okay, ligand, when we call it as a ligand, the species which donates the electron, when they can donate the electron, when they have excess electrons. So positive ligands are there, but very rare. So here we are not going to discuss positive ligands. So univalent means it should have one negative charge only. So it's a -1 charge they have. So univalent monodentate ligands means all halide ions will come. So that is what? F minus, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus. So all halide ions. Next, Cn minus, OH minus, CNS minus, NCS. NCS minus, SCN minus. Okay. So these all are what? Univalent. Univalent. They have only one donating site and also having one valent, one charge only. So this is about the univalent monodentate ligands. So these all are monodentate ligands. Next, move to the bidentate ligands. Bidentate ligands. Yes, tell me how many. What are bidentate ligands? They have two donating sites. Let us see what are those. And again, this bidentate ligands again of three types. Those are, one is neutral bidentate, next one univalent bidentate, next one bivalent bidentate. So neutral means they won't have any charge on them, but still it have two donating sides. And univalent means they have -1 charge, but it has two donating sides. Bivalent means -2 charge, so that they have two donating sides. See that neutral means ethylene diamine, EN, best example. Ethylene diamine is the best example. And one more, PN, propylene diamine also. Ethylene diamine, propylene diamine, and dipyridine. So here pyridine you can write neutral. You can write pyridine. Pyridine also one of the neutral monodentate ligand. So dipyridine. Okay, so these are the best examples for neutral bidentate ligands. Ethylene diamine, propylene diamine, dipyridine. Okay, so these are the best examples for neutral bidentate ligands. Next, univalent, they have only -1 charge but two donating sets. Yes, tell me what are the examples for univalent bidentate ligands? See that you take oxalato. Oxalate means it's a bivalent. Oxalato having -2 charge, bivalent it will come. Next, glycinato. Glycine having only univalent. Glycine, you know glycine, alanine, valine, use amino acids. First amino acid. Glycinato. So GLY is a univalent, and oxalate is a bivalent. Next, dimethylglyoxine, DMG. So dimethylglyoxine is an example for univalent. Okay, DMG, dimethylglyoxine is a one more example for dimethylglyoxine means what? What is the structure? So see, this is dimethylglyoxine. One second. That is the structure of DMG, dimethylglyoxine. It has -1 charge, but it has two donating sites. Two donating sites from here. These are the two nitrogens from where it can donate. So anyhow, it's a DMG is an example for univalent bidentate ligand. Next, bivalent bidentate example, oxalato, and also sulfato, SO4-2, carbonato, CO3-2. Okay, and one more example for univalent, NO3- is also one more example for univalent bidentate ligand. And here you write NO2- is example for univalent monodentate ligand. NO2- is a univalent monodentate, NO3- is univalent bidentate. Okay, sulfate, carbonate, oxalate. So these all are examples for bivalent bidentate. Next, move on to third one. That is what tridentate ligands. Tridentate ligands. See, tridentate ligands means three donating sites. So tridentate, here we will write a neutral only. Neutral. Examples for the neutral tridentate examples are diene. Diene is nothing but diethylene triamine. So example structure, if you see, so see total how many of amino groups are there? 1, 2, 3. And how many ethylene groups? 1 and 2. So diethylene triamine. So all may donate the electrons. And what is the total donating sites? 3 donating sites. So this is an example for tridentate ligands. Okay. And one more example, immunodiacetate also we can use. Immunodiacetate. immunodiacetate. So immunodiacetate means same in the place of CH2 NH2 acetate group will come. So that means here I am drawing. So NH acetate group CH2 CO minus and CH2 CO minus. Now how many donating sites are? This is one donating site, this is another donating site, this is another donating site. Total 3 donating sites are there, but having -2 charge. So immunodiacetate is an example for bivalent. Okay, neutral is diene, bivalent is immunodiacetate. So these two are examples are enough. Next, fourth one, tetradentate. Tetradentate means total 4 donating sites are there. So diene is example for tridentate. Triene. So triene means triethylene tetraamine. So same as like here, I am writing CH2 NH2 NH CH2 NH CH2 NH2. Total how many donating sites are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many ethylene groups? 1, 2, 3. So triethylene tetraamine. Triethylene tetraamine. So total 4 donating sites are there. This is the best example for tetradentate. And fifth one, last one, polydentate. Polydentate example, best example is EDTA. Polydentate example. EDTA is the best example. EDTA is what? Hexadentate. Total 6 donating sites are there and it has -4 charge. So it is an example for tetravalent hexadentate ligand. Okay. So this is about the types of ligands based upon their denticity. In addition to this, we should know the following. Ambident ligands. What are ambident ligands? So these ligands are having 2 donating sites, but at a time only one donating site only will donate the electrons. For example, you take NO2 minus. Okay, so NO2 minus. Suppose here nitrogen may donate or oxygen may donate. Suppose if nitrogen may donate, so like this, nitrogen is donating. ONO. This O also may donate. So if nitrogen is donating the electrons, N-nitrito we will write. If oxygen is donating the electrons, then O-nitrito we will write. So this is a ambident best example. And one more thing, Cn minus also. Either carbon may donate or nitrogen may donate. If carbon donates cyano and nitrogen may donate isocyano. Okay, similarly thiocyanate, NCS, SCN. NCS we call it as what? Isothiocyanate. SCN we call it as thiocyanate. So like this different names are there. Examples for NO2 minus is the best example, Cn minus is another example, and SCN minus is also one more example. SCN minus or NCS minus. Okay, so these are ambident ligands. Once again, ambident ligands means they have one or more than one donating sites, but at a time they get only one donating site only will they do with coordinate with metal atom. So there is an ambident. Next, chelating ligands. Chelating ligands. What are chelating ligands? Chelating ligands means, so they have these are multidentate ligands. Multidentate ligands. More than 2 donating sites are there, and simultaneously all the donating sites or few of the donating sites may donate the electron to the central metal atom and make the bonds. For example, you take EDTA. It has how many donating sites? 6 donating sites. Out of 6, all 6 may donate the electrons at a time, or 4 may donate at a time, or 3 may donate at a time. So it's not compulsory that all the donating sites may donate. Okay, then that ligands we call it as what? chelating ligands. So because of donating by more than 2 donor atoms to the simultaneously to the central metal atom, there was a formation of new rings. Then that ability we call it as what? Chelation. Chelation is nothing but the ability of forming new rings by donating the electron to the central metal atom. That ability we call it as what? Chelation, and that new rings are formed by these ligands. So that ligands we call it as chelating ligands. So once again, the ligands, these are the multi-dentate ligands, and at a time simultaneously all the donating sites will donate the electron to the central metal atom, resulting the formation of new rings, that is called chelation. Bidentate ligands, tridentate ligands, tetradentate ligands, and the polydentate ligands can act as what? Chelating ligands. Okay. Next type of ligands, that is what? And here one more thing. In chelating ligands, they may ask you one question. They may ask you the total number of rings generated. Number of rings. Okay, suppose if there was a polydentate ligand, so its bidentate ligand have been ligated or linkage with central metal atom, total how many rings generated? That the question may ask you. Always remember that number of rings generated in a complex compound, that we should calculate individually to all the ligands. First of all, you should calculate this individually to all the ligands. Thereafter, the total number of rings is equal to the sum of all. Okay, so how to calculate the rings formed by one ligand? So, number of rings formed by one ligand is always be equal to its density minus 1. Simple formula. Number of rings formed by one ligand, polydentate ligand, is equal to its density minus 1. For example, it's a bidentate ligand you consider. Bidentate ligand is equal to 2 minus 1, that is equal to 1. So each bidentate ligand will form how many rings? One ring. Okay, total rings is equal, for example, you take CO, En thrice plus 3, there is a structure, complex. So in this, how many rings have been generated? That is a question. So in this case, how many of ethylene diamine is a bidentate ligand. How many are there? 3 are there. Okay, so each bidentate ligand will form one ring. Total how many are there? 3. So the total rings generated here is 3 rings are generated. So like this, by using this formula, you can flexidentate. Flexidentate ligand. Flexidentate ligand means, for example, you take sulfate. Sulfate if you take, that is S double bond O, O minus, O minus. See, sulfate have a flexibility. Its maximum density is 2, but sometimes what happen, only one may donate. Sometimes both donating sites may donate. If only one donate, okay, it has a flexibility to show density either 1 or 2, but maximum density is 2. Not only sulfate, carbonate also same as that. See, double bond O minus, O minus. Here also either 1 may donate, 2 may donate. So these two ligands are having flexibility to show their density, and that ligands we call it as what? Flexidentate ligands. Okay. Next one, bridge ligands. Bridge ligands. What are bridge ligands? Few univalent unidentate ligands. Univalent unidentate ligands. What happen? Having lone pairs of electrons. Okay, the lone pair of electrons. So at that time what happen? For example, you take halide ions. Halide ion. So what is halide ion having? It has 3 lone pairs of electrons. So by donating one lone pair with one metal atom M1, it is forming one density, and by donating this lone pair to another M2, it is forming unidensity. So in both sides, density is 1. It's a density with this metal 1. Its density with this metal 1. So finally, it is acting as like what? A bridge between the two metals. Okay, so this is shown by bridge ligands are nothing but these are the unidentate ligands having excess electrons in the form of lone pairs, they can donate simultaneously to different metal atoms. They donate their electrons simultaneously to different metal atoms, and finally they act as what? Bridge between two metals. And that ligands we call it as what? Bridge ligands. Almost all univalent unidentate ligands will show like this. That means OH minus, NH2 minus, and also X minus. Almost all univalent unidentate ligands will act as what? Bridge ligands. Clear? Next, move to the symmetrical and unsymmetrical ligands. Symmetrical and unsymmetrical ligands. What are these symmetrical and unsymmetrical ligands? For example, you take symmetrical ligands we represent with AA. Okay, and unsymmetrical ligands we represent with AB. What is this AA, AB? So symmetrical and unsymmetrical ligands are nothing but these are nothing but bidentate ligands. In case of bidentate ligands, how many donating sites are there? 2 donating sites. If 2 donating sites are same, then that is called symmetrical ligand. That is why A and A. So one donating site is A, another donating site also A. Both are same, so symmetrical. If both are different, then that is called unsymmetrical bidentate ligands. So bidentate ligands are of 2 types: symmetrical and unsymmetrical bidentate ligands. Next one, and the most important, that is what? Pi acid. Pi acid are pi acceptor ligands. Pi acid or pi acceptor ligands. What are these ligands? So remember this. These ligands also we call it as what? Synergic ligands. Synergic ligands. So synergism. What are synergic ligands? We will discuss in metal components. Okay, just remember pi acid, pi acceptor ligand. So what is this? It is nothing but synergic bond. Simple in single word I will tell you. Synergic bond is nothing but coordinate pi bond. Okay, here the bond between ligand and a metal is what? Coordinate sigma bond. But synergic bond is nothing but coordinate pi bond. Okay, that's simple. You just remember that. We will discuss that later. So now pi acid, pi acceptor ligands are nothing but these are the ligands. First they donate the electrons to the central metal atom. But after they donate the electron to the central metal atom, they are electron deficient. So because of having the electron deficiency, so okay, they will further, okay, what happened? They will further accept the electron from central metal atom to their vacant orbitals. Okay, lowest unoccupied molecular orbital, LUMO we call it as. Okay, lowest unoccupied molecular orbitals. To these lowest unoccupied molecular orbitals, again this ligand will accept the electron from the central metal atom. So because of accepting, so what happens? There is a pi bond formation, double bond formation. So first they donate the electron to the central metal atom. After they donate the electrons to the central metal atom, this ligand will get deficiency. To fulfill the deficiency, again what happens? It is further accepting the electron from central metal atom to their unoccupied orbitals. So because of this accepting, what happened? There was a double bond character generated between the metal and ligand. That is what we call as synergism. We will discuss later. So because of this, what happened? This ligand is acting as what? What are called electron pair acceptors. What we call Lewis acids. That is why we call them as a pi acids. Why pi acids? Because of this acidic nature, pi bond generated. That is why pi acid or pi acceptor ligands. Then what are the ligands will act as a pi acid or pi acceptor ligands? CO, Cn minus, NO plus, PR3, PPH3, and CH2 double bond CH2. So these are the ligands will act as what? Pi acid, pi acceptor ligands. Okay, CO carbon monoxide, Cn minus, NO plus nitrosonium positive ligand this is, and PR3 trialkyl phosphine, triphenyl phosphine, ethylene. So these are all ligands will act as what? Pi acid, pi acceptor ligands. Okay, what is a central metal atom? Central metal atom or ion. Okay, so it is nothing but till now we discussed what is a ligand, what is the types of ligands, what is the coordination number, what is the coordination sphere, and what is the coordination counter ions. Everything we discussed. Now finally central metal atom. It is nothing but the atom or ion which is accepting the electron from the ligands. Okay, that atom or ion we call it as what? Central metal atom or central metal ion. So the role of central metal atom is always accepting the electron from the ligands. Okay, so this is the electron pair acceptors. So this is about the central metal atom. Now after we know the central metal, and this is always act as what? Lewis bases. Central metal atom always act as Lewis bases. They are always accepting Lewis acids. Lewis acids. Lewis bases means the donates acids. They always act as Lewis acids. Next one, IUPAC nomenclature. Let us see that. IUPAC nomenclature. And in this, as per the IUPAC norms, naming of complex compounds, with what we need to start. Okay, always in the complex, you should, the IUPAC nomenclature, you should start with the name of the complex. It will start with a cationic sphere. Suppose if there was any cationic spheres, cations are there, you should start name with cations. Thereafter anions. Okay, so starts with cationic sphere. Okay, and if there was a cations, okay. If there was no cations, then what will happen? Then usually if you see the skeleton, this is a coordination sphere, this is a cationic sphere, and this is the anionic sphere. So this is what? Coordination sphere. So if cationic sphere is there, you should start with the cationic sphere. In that case, the coordination sphere will act as anion. If cationic sphere is not there, only coordination sphere and the anionic sphere both are present. In case of presence of only coordination sphere and anionic sphere, in this case the coordination sphere will act as cation. Okay, so cation, let us consider cationic sphere is there, then we starts with cationic sphere. After that, name of the coordination sphere. Come to the name of the coordination sphere. How to name the coordination sphere? Yes, always the name of coordination sphere should always starts with ligands. Name of the coordination spheres starts with ligands. Suppose if only one type of ligands are there, then there was no problem. If many number of ligands are there, then the ligands, the names of ligand follows alphabetical order. The names of ligands follows alphabetical order. In case of presence of many ligands, which ligand is coming first in the alphabetical series, that ligand we should fill first, thereafter next, like this. In case of only one type of ligand, homoleptic ligands, there was no problem. If in case of heteroleptic ligands, homoleptic and heteroleptic, what do you mean? Homoleptic complex means the complex having only one type of ligand. Heteroleptic means the complex having many types of ligands. Okay, in case of homoleptic there was no problem. In case of heteroleptic, the names of the ligands should follow alphabetical order. Okay, and if only one type of ligand is present many times, many number of times, you just represent based upon the number of types. If 2 times are there, di. 3 times are there, tri. Like this. For example, you take an example of FeCN6. Okay, like that is there. How many ligands are there? How many types of ligands? Only one type. It's a homoleptic. For example, FeCN5NO. So in this case, 2 types of ligands are there. Heteroleptic. One is the cyanide, another one is a nitrazonium. 2 types of ligands are there. In this case, cyanide C and nitrazonium N. So which is coming first? C will come first. So first you should name cyano, and thereafter nitrazonium group you should name. Okay, that is in case of heteroleptic. And in this case, how many cyanide groups are there? 5 are there. So pentacyano. Okay, the number of the ligand should represent with if it is a 2, di, 3, tri, 4, tetra, 5, penta, like this. Okay, if the name of ligand already having in the name itself having di, tri, tetra, like this. For example, En you take. What is the name of the En ligand? Ethylene diamine. Their name already having di, tri, like this. In case of that, you use bis, tris, tetrakis for the number of ligands. How many times it was repeated? If it is repeated 2 times, bis ethylene diamine, tris ethylene diamine, tetrakis ethylene diamine. So bis, tris, tetrakis we will use in case of presence of di, tri already in their names. So this is how the name of the coordination sphere. So coordination sphere, first you should start with ligands. If all ligands are of same type, there was no problem. If it many types, then you write the names of the ligands in alphabetical order. And after you write the names of all the ligands, then move to the central metal atom. Okay, and one more thing, while you are writing the names of the ligands, okay, some ligands are positive ligands, some ligands are neutral ligands, and some ligands are negative ligands. How you will name them? So, if the ligand is a negative ligand, then the name of the ligand ends with O. For example, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus, OH minus. Okay, like that. In this case, we should end the name of the ligand with O. Fluoro, chloro, bromo, iodo, hydroxo. Okay, nitrito, sulfato, like this. If the ligand is a negative type of ligand, what is the name? The suffix is O. If the ligand is positive, is neutral. If the ligand is neutral, then there was no suffix. Just write their name. That's it. Neutral ligands example: CO, H2O. What is the name of H2O? You can write it as aqua. Aqua you can write. And NH3, how you will write? Amine. Like this. In case of neutral, there was no suffix. In case of positive ligand, the suffix of this positive ligands is IUM. For example, NO plus you take. What is the name of the positive ligand? Nitrazonium, IUM. So, the names of the ligand, the suffix of the negative ligands is O, the suffix of neutral is nil, and the suffix of positive ligands is IUM. Like this, you can write the names of the ligands. And after you write the names of all the ligands, then move to the central metal atom. Write the name of central metal atom or ion. Central metal atom or central metal ion. And while you are writing the name of the central metal atom, again here you should check the sphere, coordination sphere. If the coordination sphere has 0 charge or positive charge, okay, there was no problem. Just write the name of them. Okay, write the name without no suffix for them. There was no suffix. For example, iron is there. You just write iron. chromium is there, chromium, like that. If when the sphere has zero charge or positive charge. Suppose if the coordination sphere has negative charge on their coordination sphere, then the suffix of the metal ion is ate, ferrate, chromate, okay, cobaltate, arsenate, like this. Okay, so again the name of the central metal atom also depends upon the charge over the coordination sphere. If the sphere has either zero charge or positive charge, then there was no suffix. But if the sphere has a negative charge, we should end the name of the metal ion with ate. Finally, the oxidation state of the central metal atom we should mention within the parenthesis. So these are the steps, 4 steps. The first one is if there was any cationic sphere, write the names of the cations. Coming to the coordination sphere, while you are writing the name of the coordination sphere, you start with the ligands, and if all the ligands are of same type, there was no problem. You just write the number thereafter ligand. If there was a many number of ligands, then you should mention the ligands based upon their alphabetical order. And next, while you are writing the names of the ligand, check the type of the ligand. If it is a negative ligand, end with O. Positive ligands, IUM. Neutral ligands, no suffix. And after that, come to the name of the central metal atom. In case of while writing the name of the central metal atom, check the charge over the coordination sphere. If the sphere has zero charge or positive charge, no suffix for the metal atom. If the sphere has negative charge, we should end with the IUM ion, ate ion. Okay, and finally you should mention the oxidation state of the central metal atom with a Roman letter within the parenthesis. So these are the total 4 steps you should follow. Starting with the cation. Cationic sphere is there. So what is that? And while you are writing the name of the cationic sphere, no need to mention the number of cation. So sometimes what happen? Dipotassium, tetrapotassium, like this they will mention. Okay, that is wrong actually. No need to mention number of cations and even the number of anions also. See how many are there? What is that? Potassium is there. So potassium. Next, after the cationic sphere, next come to the coordination sphere. In the coordination sphere starts with ligands. How many ligands are there? Tetrachloro. Why? Because it is a negative ligand. Tetrachloro. And what is the charge over the sphere? Minus. Why? Because cation is there now. If it is a -2 charge. If the sphere has -2 charge, negative charge, 8 ion. So nickel 8. Tetrachloro, nickel 8. And what is the positive charge of the oxidation state here? +2. +2, right? So 2 ion, nickel 8 ion. So that is the name of the first compound. Next, move to the second one. So there was no cationic sphere, anionic sphere. Only ion they given, complex ion. In this case, directly starts with ligands. Tetracyano nickelate 2 ion. Nickelate 2 ion. Next one, and see, in case of carbonyls, you should remember one point. In case of carbonyls, metal carbonyls, you should write the complete name without any spaces between them. Okay, while you are writing the name of the metal carbonyls, you should write continuously without any spaces. See that? What is the name of this one? Pentacarbonyl iron 0. Why? Because iron is in 0 oxidation state. CO is a neutral ligand. So if you substitute, iron will get positive, the 0 charge. And sphere itself having positive charge. So what is the name? Pentacarbonyl iron 0. That is the name of the metal carbonyls. Next, coming to this one. This is the oxalato. So bidentate, no problem. And how many are there? 3 are there. So trioxalato, because the negative ligand. Oxalato is a -2. Trioxalato, cobalt 3. Trioxalato, cobaltate. Why? Because negative charge, na? Cobaltate 3 ion. Cobaltate 3 ion. Okay, next this one, palladium, PdCl4 -2, it's also ion. Tetrachloro palladium, palladate Okay, palladiate 2 ion. So like this you can easily name the cations, anions and neutral species. Next, IUPAC nomenclature for polynuclear complexes. Polynuclear complexes means having more than one metal complexes. So here let us see, more than one metal complexes means in this polynuclear complexes the metal may directly join together, or in between the metals there are some ligands, whatever it may be, metal ligand, bridge ligands may be present. See that here OH is a bridge ligand between the two chromiums. Here two ligands are there, NH2 OH, two bridge ligand, those two ligands may be same or different. Okay, here two different bridge ligands are there, here two same bridge ligands are there. So here two same bridge ligands are there. So like this I have taken 4 different cases. See that in case of this one, look at the first case, is this a polynuclear or not? Yes. Why? Because two chromiums are there. Here 1 and here 2. So two chromiums are there. First you calculate the oxidation state, total oxidation state you calculate. See, ammonia is a neutral and OH is a -1 and Cl5 -1. Total charge is -6. If you bring this -6 to that side, +6. So overall two chromiums are having +6 by 2. Average you take. +6 by 2 +3. So each chromium having +3 oxidation state. Then in case of polynuclear complexes, if there was a presence of bridge ligands, okay, then you should mention that bridge ligand first, and you should mention the bridge ligand with the mu. Mu indicates what? Bridge ligand. So here how many bridge ligands are there? One bridge ligand is there, that is one mu hydroxo. And while you are writing, in between the mu and the name, and there should be a hyphen. Mu hydroxo. Suppose if two ligands are, bridge ligands are there, see here two ligands are there, those two ligands you should mention with the mu. See that they both are different, that is why amino and hydroxo, which is coming first in the alphabetical order? Amino. So mu amido, mu hydroxo, mu amido, mu hydroxo. Every time you should repeat this mu name. Next, in this case, look the third case, both bridge ligands are same. In that case, no need to repeat mu carbonyl. You just dimu carbonyl. Here also dimu carbonyl. So understood? Now check that. After you write the name of the bridge complex, okay, then this complex is the same now. So this side NH35Cr, this side NH35Cr. So bis. Why I am writing bis? Why? Because these two complexes are same. Two sides are same. That is why bis, pentaamine, chromium, and what is the oxidation state of chromium? 3 chloride. Okay, and then once again mu hydroxo, bis, pentaamine, chromium 3 chloride. That is the name of the first compound. Come to the second compound. Here mu amido, mu hydroxo. Now here in this case you don't write here left side same, right side same. So why don't we use bis? You don't use. Why? Because these two bridge ligands are different. The top is NH2, bottom is OH. In case of presence of two different bridge ligands, we should not use bis like this. You should write all together. Total how many are there? See that mu amido, mu hydroxo. Total how many amino ligands are there? 8 are there, 4 plus 4. So octaamine, how many cobalts are there? 2 are there. So octaamine dicobalt 3 ion. Understood? Next, move to the third one. See dimu carbonyl. Next, in this case, both are same. That is why I am using bis. Bis carbonyl. Only one side you can take. Bis carbonyl. What is C5H5 name? C5H5 is nothing but cyclopentadiene carbon. What is that? This is having -1 charge. C5H5 cyclopentadienyl anion. So bis carbonyl cyclopentadienyl iron 1. Why? Because cyclopentadienyl each one having -1. If you bring this -2 to that side, +2 will come, +2 by 2. Why? Because 2 irons are there now. So each iron having +1 charge. That is why dimu carbonyl bis carbonyl, cyclopentadienyl, iron 1. Okay, next come to here. Here I just, instead of writing like this, I have written like this, that's it. So dimu carbonyl, okay, both sides are same. Here FeCO3, FeCO3. So what you can write? Dimu carbonyl, bis 1, 2. Bis, how many are there? Tricarbonyl iron. Bis, tricarbonyl iron. And what is the oxidation state? All our carbonyl groups are there. So 0 will come. So like this we can write UPS names to the polynuclear complexes. Okay. And while you are, suppose sometimes what happen, they may give you structure and ask you write the name of the complexes. So sometimes they may be confused. While you are writing the name of the complex, you just follow this simple tricks. First write the symbol of central metal atom. Okay, first write the symbol of central metal atom. And after you write the central metal atom, okay, what you do, if there was same ligand in many times, there was no problem. Homoleptic complexes you can easily write. In case of heteroleptic complexes, which ligand you should mention, that is important. Okay, in case of heteroleptic, two or more than two different types of ligands are there, then after the central metal atom, nearer to the central metal atom, first you write negative ligand. Negative ligands you should write first. Thereafter, neutral ligands you should write first. The second. Thereafter, positive ligands. So always positive ligands you should write last. Okay, this is the way how to write, how to represent the formula of the complex compounds. For example, dicyno, nitrosyl, nitrosyl, trinitrite, trinitrito. What is a metal? You can take iron and oxidation state. You want, okay, let us see. Trinitrito, ferrate 2 ion. That complex formula you should write. How you will write? First of all, check the name. What is the metal? Iron. So write the iron first. Now after you write the iron, next check the ligands. How many? 3 different types of ligands are there. One is a cyano, another one is a nitrosyl, another one is nitrite. Okay. So okay, cyanide is a minus, nitrosyl is a plus, nitrito is again minus. Okay, nitrito. Or else to do one thing, you just change the name. Instead of writing the trinitrito, you write aqua. Let us see. Triaqua. Triaqua means it is 0. Now, which one we should mention first? Fe. After Fe, nearer to the Fe, which one? Negative ligands you should write. So, dicyno, FeCN2. Next, neutral ligands, that is aqua. That is how many are there? 3 are there. So, H2O 3. Next, nitrosyl, NO plus. Okay, NO. Now, what is the oxidation state we need? 2 we need. To get the oxidation state to 2, what is the charge you should have, complex should have? See, oxidation state Xc you consider, that is 2 plus 2 into minus 1 plus 3 into 0 plus 1 into plus 1 is equal to X. The total sum is equal to this one. Then 2 minus 2 plus 1 is equal to 0. 2 2 cancel. So X should be what? X should be 1. So it should have plus 1 charge. So that is what, like this you can write first central metal atom, thereafter negative, neutral, positive. So this is the way how to mention the ligands within the sphere. Okay.